So this is the data for the therapist from the COVID study. And previously we had been trying to do some chi-squared analysis because most of the data, most of the variables were collected as categorical variables. And that's the test that you would use for analyzing categorical variables. But because this data set is so small, the sample size. There's only 60, I think, total participants. And even in that, the ones who responded to the variables that we're concerned about amounted to something like 22. So, with that short, very small size and the number of categories that we had, it made it almost impossible to find any kind of statistical significance. So if we look at something like the gender of the teacher, if we just ran a quick analysis of that, we can see where it's saying that so there are 68 um, teachers, apparently 68 female therapists in this group, and I guess there's another one for the male therapist. Maybe not. Maybe there are only 36 female therapists. Yeah. So, but if we were to run a quick descriptive of the the questions, some of the variables that we were concerned about, that we're interested in, for example, the flexibility question, we noticed here that there were only 30 responses. Similarly, we can do that for all the different categories, 30, 30, 30. And if we did it for the barriers as well, still 30. So that was, when we do something like a chi-squared analysis and we have, three or four or five categories, it makes detecting any kind of statistical significance difficult. So what the alternative is to, one of the alternatives is to convert these variables to one variable and combine them and treat them, instead of treating it like a categorical variable, we can treat it as a pseudo quantitative variable, and then we can do some ANOVA analysis of variance, for where we can compare the means of the values for each of the categories that we're interested in, like zip code and teachers' satisfaction or students' progress or any of those things. So the way we would do that is we would have to compute a new variable, and that we use this tab here, and you can find that here when you go to transform. The first one is compute variable, and here is where you would name your variable. So if we wanted to do a variable that combine all of the benefits into one variable and then use that as a quantitative variable, so we would have that there, and then we would go down here where we have all the different questions that ask about benefits, and we would add them to the numeric expression, because what we want to do is we want to sum all of the numbers. So each of the categories had a number associated with it, and technically it's an ordinal variable, but here we're going to treat it as a quantitative variable. So we're going to find the sum. So you typing sum there, and then you put everything in parentheses, and you have to add, or let's just this commas. So we're going to add up all the different ranking, essentially, that each participant gave for the different